Why do I want to be a UX designer? It's a great question. I am passionate about UX design. I have given a lot of thought to why I think I would be a good fit in the UX design industry. Obviously, I'm making a career shift right now, and with that comes a lot of risk and a lot of uncertainty. But even with that risk and uncertainty, I've continued to plow forward because I genuinely believe that I would be a great UX designer and I would bring wonderful value to any team. The reason for that are multiple reasons. First thing is that I'm classically trained in psychology, so I've been a full-time counselor. And when I was looking at the possibility of a career shift, I wasn't even familiar of the UX design field until I started doing some research and then came across UX design. When I came across it, I realized, man, this is a perfect melding of something that I love, which is design, and something I'm really good at, which is psychology. And where those two things overlap, I think is a wonderful place for me to land career-wise. And I think that I bring assets to that industry or this industry because of that. I'm also really creative and I've always enjoyed art. But looking back now and understanding what design is now, I didn't realize that I was a designer. I thought that I was just creative and really enjoyed art. But the reality is that though I'm skilled in art, I'm actually better at design, which is taking different components and maybe creating components, but taking different components and pulling them together to form a solution for whatever problem I'm facing. So that might have been way back when in elementary school, doing an art project in school and coming up with a solution for a project that I was given in school. But a lot of times I was pulling different things together and shifting them around and moving them around and coming up with a solution that worked and that I was proud of. Well, that transitioned when I was in college into graphic design, which I've continued to do. But with that graphic design, I just really enjoy finding different components, different elements, bringing those elements together and offering solutions to the clients that I get to work with in graphic design. And then ultimately the psychology component melded in that with the UX is something that I never thought I would find, but something I'm really excited about because I'm really, really interested in human psychology and what drives us and the motivations and so forth, and empathizing with people and understanding where they're coming from. So I have a high level of a desire to empathize with people and to help them solve problems. But I'm realizing that counseling is a field that stress-wise I can't sustain. And so that's why I started looking into UX design. And when I found it, I was like, yes, this is the field that I want to go into career-wise, because it melds something that I've been passionate about but never really felt courageous enough to follow completely with something that I'm really good at, which is psychology and understanding human beings. And it melds those two together in a perfect way. So why do I want to work for this company? So this is a hypothetical answer. Obviously, I have a company in mind, but I'm not going to share that company's name for respect to them. But the reason that I would like to work for this company, there's multiple reasons. The first one is that I'm passionate about the message of your company. I, myself and my wife have been directly affected by the message of your company, and we believe in it deeply. And so I'm passionate about that message. I'm passionate about the work that you guys do, and I believe the work you do is important and that it matters. And if I had the opportunity to work for a company, your company, and doing work that matters, that would just be fantastic, and I would be honored to do that. Second, I appreciate the work environment. I know of some colleagues that work here, and I've also done a lot of research on what the culture is at your organization. In addition to that, I consume the products that you put out, so I understand the culture at least as much as I'm able to from my perspective. And when I look at the culture of your organization and I look at the core values that I have as a person, I realize that a lot of those line up. And so I think that it would be an awesome fit. Now I say that humbly, realizing that I don't know everything because I've never had the opportunity of working for your company, but I truly believe that I would be a good fit and that I'm passionate about it. These are just a few reasons, but ultimately, I'm passionate about the mission of your company. I believe that I can bring value to any team, and I know that I'm a hard worker. And the thing that I think would set me apart, and why I would want to work for your company and not somebody else's company, is because I believe so deeply in your message that even if I don't work for your company, I'm going to continue to share it with other people. And I think that passion in your message and that desire to spread that message will only fuel my desire to work hard and to be a team player and to do anything and everything I can to make your organization successful. So tell me about a time you had to handle a conflict with colleagues. Well, as a counselor, obviously, I handle a lot of conflict. I'm not going to share about any times that I handled it with clients, but I will share about a time that I had conflict with a colleague. I was working at an organization that was just very, very busy. I had a supervisor who wasn't necessarily my boss, but they were the supervisor over this organization. So I was working in conjunction with them and trying to help them succeed as an organization. Well, the supervisor, in my opinion, didn't have super great work and life balance, and they expected others to have similar boundaries in their life. I, for one, desire to have a work-life balance and realize that work is not everything. And this supervisor was expecting a lot from me above and beyond what the work requirements were. In addition to that, I wasn't technically an employee. I was a contract worker. So the extra work that they were asking me to do was basically pro bono. As time went on, more and more responsibilities were being given to me. This created inside of me a conflict where I realized that I wasn't being compensated for the work I was doing. In addition to that, I had less time at home with my wife, and we were newly married, and I didn't really like that. And it didn't seem like that I was really being appreciated for the extra work that I was putting in, and it was really just kind of burning me out. So after talking with people that I trusted, such as my wife and a few close friends, I decided that I needed to address the bad boundaries and address the conflict between me and this person because it was just continuing to escalate. So I asked them to have a meeting with me, which wasn't easy, and I had a conversation, an honest conversation with them about the expectations and the boundaries that had been in place thus far, and then what boundaries, new boundaries needed to be in place or old boundaries that needed to be strengthened. And I expressed that I needed to have better balance between work and life. And even though it was a hard conversation, the outcome of that conversation was that the supervisor understood. It didn't change the way that they function, and that wasn't my stuff to deal with anyways. But they did start respecting my boundaries more, and they did start understanding, especially whenever I had to reinforce boundaries, why I was reinforcing those and the purpose behind those boundaries. Instead of me just saying no to something, there was good reason why I was saying no to them. This allowed for me to continue to work at this company, again as a contract employee, but to work at this company and to not become bitter and resentful to a place where I just was fed up with it and had to leave. So that's one way that I've handled conflict specifically with a colleague who was a supervisor.